Republicans have not just been talking about reducing costs and fraud and abuse in so many areas and in healthcare. We've been actually passing new laws to accomplish that urgent mission for the people. Every Democrat in the House is to think carefully, pray. At least some Democrats now finally appear ready to do what Republicans and President Trump and millions of hardworking American people have been asking them to do.
As the government shutdown looms closer and closer to its final end officially, I want to jump back in, maybe for the last time, to Mike Johnson on day 41 as he still addresses the press. So if you can, leave us a like on the video. We're trying to get to 30,000 subscribers. That helps us out a ton. And let's just get right to the breakdown.
After 40 days of wandering in the wilderness and making the American people suffer needlessly, some Senate Democrats finally have stepped forward to end the pain. It appears to us this morning that our long national nightmare is finally coming to an end, and we're grateful for that. At least some Democrats now finally appear ready to do what Republicans and President Trump and millions of hardworking American people have been asking them to do for weeks. As we said from the beginning, the people's government cannot be held hostage.
I think it's funny how hard they're desperately fighting to keep this narrative alive when nobody believes it. All polling shows that. Common sense should tell you it. I mean, Trump literally went to the Supreme Court to block SNAP benefits and releasing them after 2 liberal judges told him to release them, right? The Democrats unanimously supported a bill that would have paid full SNAP benefits during a shutdown. MAGA refused to bring it to the floor for a vote. Democrats, as the minority party, put forth more CRs than Republicans, whose literal job as the majority is to draft a CR that will pass, which requires negotiation for bipartisan support, of which they refused to do for 40 days. And even when they did, it came at the behest of moderate Democrats coming to the table, essentially punting the ball completely to them just to not let holiday travel get affected for people's families. All of this is on Republicans. It was this long because of Republicans, and it only ended because of Democrats.
I've also reminded you here every morning at this press conference throughout the shutdown, Republicans have not just been talking about reducing costs and fraud and abuse in so many areas and in healthcare. We've been actually passing new laws to accomplish that urgent mission for the people, and we will continue to do so. So here's where we are by way of schedule, just so you know, you're following. And if you're not at home, if you're waking up to this good news this morning, the Senate's vote late last night of 60 to 40 opens the door now. The Senate is moving forward on an amended House CR, a continuing resolution, that will reopen the government until January 30th. Added to that are provisions to fully fund SNAP provisions through the end of the next fiscal year, which is September 2026, guaranteed back pay for all federal workers who have been made to endure these hardships over the last several weeks. And it also includes passage of 3 appropriations bills, which we're grateful to be moving through the process. That is the Military Construction Veterans Affairs bill, it's the Agriculture bill, and the legislative branch bill.
I think this should be indication of what their ACA negotiations will look like and why this was a complete failure for these moderate Democrats, as he touts historic cuts to Medicaid as a victory, cuts that will lead to 15 million people losing health care and hundreds of rural hospitals closing. These are the kind of negotiations and revamping to ACA that he wants to do. Again, part of which he refused to even talk about in the CR negotiation. So the idea that like they're even going to now, it's like, why would they? And we see their priorities, right? In this negotiation, they worked in the ability to keep themselves paid if something like this happens and to up the military budget. They're going to line their pockets, their donors' pockets, that of like military contractors, and then keep up the warmongering and bombing of possible civilians abroad as they leave millions out to dry in America on the question of rising healthcare costs.
Every Democrat in the House is to think carefully, pray, and finally do the right thing and help us to bring an end to the pain of the American people. This has gone on too long. Too many people have suffered, and it's long overdue. That's the update I wanted to give you this morning. There are probably lots of questions, but I'm going to get a lot of my own questions answered later today, so stay tuned for more. Thanks so much.
I love that for the first time in 41 days, he refuses to answer questions. Every other day of the shutdown, he's fine to do it. Today, he can't, as he's being asked if we even put the bill to the floor that the Democrats kind of worked into their deal in the Senate. And boy, do you know it, right? Like, who would have thought he wouldn't answer that? Like, we would had no idea. I really think that we all know how this is going to go just by this framing here. Continue to try and like put it all on the Democrats. This is all the Democrats' fault. Act as if like you're the reason the government finally opened, even though Democrats did all the work to get us here, and then kill the bill on arrival and say it's bad while allowing healthcare costs to go up in hopes that down the line you can point to those costs and use it to repeal the ACA, which of course will just lead to more rising costs for more people, smaller risk pools. So those like immunocompromised, the elderly, sick, pre-existing conditions, they're going to have even higher costs. So like the best case scenario here for my optimists, right, is this bill gets to the Senate floor that the Democrats agreed to, passes somehow, they get the 13 Republican votes, right? And then it's held up in the House. Mike Johnson refuses to put it to the floor. But then in the midterms, Democrats take majority in the House, sign it as well, and then Trump somehow gets forced to sign it also. Now, I do want to be very clear here that this is like, to say the least, a long shot. This is like you're on your own 5-yard line with 1 second to go and you're tossing a Hail Mary, right? Like the idea that this happens is probably not.